Good morning, everybody. Hope we're doing really good today. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about a garbage stock. This stock is not flashy. It doesn't have no electronic vehicle stuff, no AI, no 5G, no social media, nothing like that. It's not a FANG, not trendy. It's just a garbage stock. But it's a stock that we need. It's a stock that's recession resistant, pandemic resistant, stock that grows, good cash flow, good dividends, rising dividends, increasing profitability, and it's one of those stocks that you just buy and you hold forever, and then one day you're going to be rich. Stock I'm talking about is Waste Management. It's the biggest waste management kind of company in the United States. It owns landfills and garbage trucks and that kind of stuff. So we're going to go into detail onto waste management in this video. But before we do, if you're new to the channel, I'm Justin. I like to talk about dividend investing, income from options, financial independence, and document my own journey towards financial independence. So if you like these kind of channels, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to this one, because I'm putting out videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then if you get any value out of this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into waste management. Waste Management, ticker WM, is the largest company in the space that collects and transports rubbish and waste to the landfills. Its business model is broken up into 4 different sectors. We have collections, and this is also residential and business industrial. This is just where the dump trucks or the garbage trucks, they go around and they pick up garbage in the alleys and take it to where it needs to go. And there's, this is separated into residential and then business industrial. Residential has been up since the pandemic, but business industrial, less businesses are open, so the business industrial part of the collections is down a little bit since the pandemic. Next, we have landfills, and Waste Management operates the largest network in the United States. Now, landfills are really important. They're the big moat in a company like this because it's very expensive to start up a new landfill. There's lots of federal, state, and local regulations that you got to follow. Very expensive. So, this is where they have their big economic moat. Another thing is, if they do own a landfill, maybe they don't need to own the garbage trucks in that area, in that city. Different companies that own the garbage trucks, they can still transport to the landfills and then pay Waste Management to use them. And then there's also transfer stations. And this is for those big urban areas where the landfill may be quite far from, the urban center, the urban area. So all the garbage trucks can collect it, take it to the transfer station, and then the transfer station will smash it into those big square blocks and then ship it to the landfill more efficiently, like on a train or something like that. Other companies can use Waste Management transfer stations. But if Waste Management, they own the garbage trucks and they own the transfer stations and they own the landfills, they can save a lot of money and get that vertical integration from owning all 3. But they can also charge other companies to use their collections and their landfills and their transfer stations. They also do recycling. They're environmentally friendly too, as far as, garbage companies go. They are spending a lot of money on CapEx to convert their garbage truck fleet into compressed natural gas. And then they use the bio waste to create, biofuel at the landfills to run generators and produce electricity that way. Like I said, Waste Management operates the largest networks of landfills and transfer stations. And since it's so expensive to build a new landfill and expand that way, it's cheaper to purchase out your competition to acquire your competition that way than to actually like build out new landfills and stuff like that. They just finished an acquisition of Advanced Disposals. They operate 94 collection operations, 73 transfer stations, 41 landfills, and 22 recycling facilities. And in fiscal year 2018, they brought in $1.5 billion in revenue and $427 million in EBITDA. And this is a $4.6 billion acquisition, but they expect to make $100 million in profit a year from the synergies involved in the two. But the Department of Justice, they didn't like them growing so much, so they made them divest, to sell off some of their assets. Waste Management had to sell 15 landfills, 37 transfer stations, 29 hauling facilities, and 200 waste collection routes across 10 states for $860 million for this acquisition to be approved. And it was approved. And it's all going through like right now, end of October, early November. One thing that's really interesting about this acquisition is in May, Waste Management, they issued $3 billion in bonds to complete this purchase with an interest rate of 4.6% that was due in 2021. But there was a clause in there that they could redeem all these notes if something changed. And then the pandemic changed and interest rates dropped and the Federal Reserve's backstopping all this debt. So what Waste Management did is they redeemed all these notes and they issued new notes, $2.5 billion in notes expiring 2025, 2028, 2031, and all the way out to 2050 to refinance the original notes. And the average interest rate of these new notes is like 1.5%. Versus the 4.6% they were paying earlier. And this actually got a few investors upset because they bought those old notes and they just got them recalled or redeemed and they don't get a benefit, that 4.6% anymore. On the income statement, Waste Management has a history of growing revenue and profitability. Revenue in 2015 was $12.9 billion, but they've been steadily increasing that. In fiscal year 2019, it was $15.4 billion. EBITDA increased from $3.3 billion to $4.3 billion. And EBITDA is the number that they believe, that Waste Management believes is like the most important metric for their business. Net income rose from $750 million to $1.6 billion in 2019. Free cash flow has been growing as well, about $1.3 billion in 2015 to $2 billion in 2019. And the profit margins have been really strong with free cash flow margins at least 10% a year, which are really good, and profit margins, which would be about 6%, steadily increasing and, got an upward trend in the profit margins too. They did reduce capital expenditures this year from last year because they're spending a lot of money to convert their fleet into compressed natural gas. But most of that is done and you're seeing the benefits of that now. The capital expenditures in 2019 for the third quarter was $483 million and it's down to $343 million this year. And the free cash flow in third quarter this year was $691 million versus the free cash flow in third quarter of 2019, $478 million. Revenue, EBITDA, net income was all down in the third quarter of this year, but it's only down a little bit from third quarter last year. Generally, it was well received that they've done well with this quarter earnings. On the balance sheet, they have $700 million in cash, $2.2 billion in receivables, with a total current assets of $3.3 billion. Current liabilities is $2.8 billion. They have a little less cash than liabilities, but you can see how from the little switcheroo they did with the notes that they're well aware of like keeping the balance sheet safe. And it is safe. And they do have low interest rate expense. They have $32 billion in property, plant, and equipment. This is all the garbage trucks and the landfills and stuff. But they have a lot of accumulated depreciation too. $19 billion in that. So their net PPE is $12.8 billion. Total assets of $24.7 billion. Total liabilities of $17.6 billion. Currently, Waste Management's trading at $119. Low dividend yield of 1.8%, but also a low payout ratio of 54%. It's been growing its dividend for 6% a year and it's been growing that dividend for 17 years. If you had invested $1,000 into Waste Management 10 years ago, today it'd be worth $4,189 with an annual return of 15.42% a year. Waste Management isn't the kind of company that you go brag to your friends about making all this money like you investing in Tesla or NEO or Workhorse or all these others. But it is the kind of company that you can buy and then just forget about it and sleep easy at night. I purchased it and I'm going to reinvest the dividends for forever, as long as I can, really. It's one of those boring companies that you just grow your dividends and, one day you look back and you're going to rich off of this boring garbage company. So I think that's all I got for this video. Hope you learned something. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Give me a little comment if you own and invest in Waste Management, or maybe you're a customer of Waste Management. Go leave a comment down below on how their customer service is or something like that. And then subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because I'm putting out videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then I want you to go have a good day, all right? Justin out.